My parents stole $8,000 of my college fund to film my brother's music video. Then blamed me when he robbed the restaurant I used to work at. I worked 50 hours a week to escape my family. Now they lost the house and showed up at my job begging for help after framing me in court. I, a 20-year-old boy, had a partial scholarship to ECPI rather than a full ride. This meant no free lunch. I had to cover everything: accommodation, food, petrol and books. So I did what I needed to do. I got a job at this bustling restaurant on the outskirts of town, started bussing tables, and worked my way up to line cook. The hours sucked, but they were consistent. Nights, weekends, and double shifts. I did not complain. I basically heaped cash as if my life depended on it, which it kind of did. But this is where I messed up. I did not have a bank account. Long tail, but I never got around to it. And I didn't want to put cash under my mattress like a cartoon character. So my father says, "Why don't you put it in my account? It's safer there, I'll keep it for you until you need it." I should have noticed the red flag flashing right there. But I was stupid, or perhaps simply hopeful. I figured if I couldn't trust my own father, who could I trust? So I transferred all of my savings into his account. Every tip, paycheck and dime I could find went in. I rarely bought myself anything. No new clothes, no vacations, no technology, no unnecessary expenditures, just food, work, and sleep. My buddies were out doing typical 20-year-old things, while I was buried in grease and stress, saving every dime for college. The scholarship came through, albeit only partially, as I previously stated. That was my shot. I had enough money saved to cover rent, books, a beat-up automobile to travel to university, and a little emergency fund. I wasn't going to get rich, but I was going to make it work. Then boom. My foolish younger brother abruptly decides he wants to be a singer. Not like talent or anything, just vibes and delusion. This is the same kid who blasts trash autotune at 2 a.m., never knocks, smashes my stuff, mocks everything I care about and yet is protected as if he's the victim. Don't be so hard on him. He's just finding his passion, they tell me. Yes, his enthusiasm is ruining my life. Allow me to explain something. This youngster possesses no talent. I am not being bitter. I'm being honest. He couldn't hold a note in a bucket if it were superglued to his hand. But he had it in his head that he was going to win a singing contest downtown, like one of those imitation idol performances put on by local venues to sell tickets and beer. The only catch was that the contest required a music video to participate. Cameras, rented studios, and the whole fake it until you make it attitude. Guess who paid for it? Yes, it's me. But I didn't realize that until after it was finished. My brother strolled into my room one night, as if he was going to reveal some shocking information, and said, "Hey, by the way, we used some of your savings. I needed to film my video." He didn't even appear apologetic. I did not even try to sugarcoat it. He stated it proudly, as if he had just won the jackpot and wanted to tell me. I looked at him like, "You're joking." He just grinned and walked away. So that was it. As if this were just another Tuesday. I approached my parents immediately afterward. I went downstairs and saw them watching television as if nothing had occurred. I said, "What the hell? You took my college savings and gave it to him?" My mother halted the show and stared at me, calm and wise. "We only took half," she explained. "He needed help. You still have time to save up more." As if that were acceptable. Like losing half of 2 years' worth of savings was a tiny inconvenience. I felt selfish for getting angry. My dad remarked, "You can still work part-time, can't you? Your brother's pursuing his dream." I responded, "My dream was to go to ECPI." He responded, "You're being dramatic. You're not homeless. You have a roof. You'll figure it out." I've never wanted to flip a table more in my life. They acted as if I were the villain. They told me I needed to mature. Not be so sensitive. And that money isn't everything. My mother even added, "Don't act like a girl," as if being furious about your own stolen money was feminine today. So I stopped speaking. I stepped out of the room and let it burn inside me. That music video was terrible. It's embarrassing even. My brother wore a dazzling gold jacket and stood on a beach, singing off-key to some royalty-free beat as if he were creating the next great anthem. My folks thought it was brilliant. They shared it with our relatives. My uncle texted me, "So proud of your brother's ambition." It made me want to throw away my phone. It received 37 views. Half of them were undoubtedly from my aunt. After that I knew I needed to take action. I sought assistance from my grandfather, the only member of the family who retained common sense. He helped me open a bank account in my own name. Showed me how to set up an automatic deposit. I quietly began rerouting every paycheck into that account. I did not tell my parents. Didn't say anything. I just smiled and nodded when they asked if I was still saving. I even informed my father that my new manager was changing the payment schedule to quarterly to keep him off my back. But I still had some money in his account. I figured I'd wait until tuition day and then pull it. A big mistake. It had been a few quiet months since the "let's rob our son to fund an American Idol Junior" stunt. I didn't say anything else about it. What was there to say? They made it plain where I stood in this household, directly under their feet. I continued working, saving in my new account, and playing the long game. I still had plans for ECPI. My start date was quickly approaching. Even though I had lost half of my cash, I wasn't giving up. I believed the worst-case scenario was that I would live in a shoebox with 3 other guys and eat off-brand cereal. I would make it. Then came the next hit. It wasn't a surprise, it was a slow-moving calamity that everyone expected, except the 2 people who caused it. My brother's girlfriend became pregnant. Normally you'd anticipate some sort of alarm or serious conversation. Nah. Instead, my mother treated it as if it were a wedding announcement. She even exclaimed, "Beautiful blessing." I almost choked on my porridge. Let's call her Lucy. She was loud, often whining about everything, and once took a phone charger from my room during her first visit, claiming it had gotten mixed up in her suitcase. Mixed up. She felt I was dumb. And to be honest, she wasn't entirely incorrect, at least not regarding my parents. So now Lucy is pregnant, and the family is acting as if my brother is ready to give birth to a future president. My father pulls me aside one morning, attempting to convey the serious parent's face. Says we're starting a new chapter as a family and need to work together to help your brother adjust to fatherhood. I sensed something was off. My father does not speak in Hallmark card language unless he is preparing for something unsavory. So I checked the bank. Gone. Everything I had left in his account, approximately $3,700, was gone. I stared at the number for an entire minute. Perhaps there was a glitch. Perhaps I typed something incorrectly. Then I walked downstairs and asked him straight out, "Where is the balance of the money?" He had the nerve to appear perplexed. "What money?" "My savings. The money you mentioned was safe." "Oh, that." He said it as if I were inquiring about a misplaced sock. "We had to use it to help your brother. Lucy's family isn't stepping up and they need supplies, a crib, diapers, essentials." I responded, "Why is that my problem?" He just shrugged. "It's not about blame, it's about responsibility." I laughed. I genuinely laughed out loud because, at that point, what else could you possibly do? You work in a grease pit, eat instant noodles, skip birthdays, stack bills with discipline like you're preparing for war, and your father spends the money on baby bottles for a child you didn't have with a girl you despise. I went to my mother. The same story. She tried the guilt way. "You don't understand what it's like to be a parent. You'll get it one day. Family helps family." I questioned her. "Who helped me?" She didn't respond, but looked at me as if I was the villain again. That's their favorite thing to do, transform each of my complaints into a "how could you say that" moment. I didn't yell or dispute. I simply walked away and sat in my room, staring at the wall for a long time. The figures kept flashing in my mind. Not only did I make $3,700, but I also worked for months to get there. I took up shifts at the last minute. I used to stand in the chilly alley during breaks just to breathe. Every Saturday night I declined because I needed the hours. Every double shift is gone, wiped clean as if it never happened. That night, I went to my grandfather and explained everything. He didn't speak much, just sat there, mute and nodded. He inquired as to how much I had left in my own new account. I answered him. Not much. But I started building again gently. He leaned back, looked me dead in the eye and said, "You can't build on quicksand. You're living with people who think they own your future." So I informed him what I intended to do. I told him I had to leave. Not later. Not after ECPI began. Now I did not feel safe in the house. Not physically, but mentally. I did not feel like a son. I felt like a goddamn vending machine that was shaken every time my brother messed up. My granddad stated he would help. He gave me enough money to buy an airline ticket. Did not ask any questions. Did not lecture me. I just handed it over, along with a folded up piece of paper with a name and number on it. "A friend of mine. You can stay there for a bit. It's a small room but it's clean. Work nearby." That night I packed everything I owned. It's just clothes, a laptop, and paperwork. I left most of my belongings behind. Didn't say anything to my folks. I left a letter on the refrigerator. "I'm done being your plan B, don't contact me." I shut off my phone and took a taxi to the airport before the sun rose. I didn't feel free for the entire voyage. I felt weary. Deep weariness does not go away with sleep. It was as if my body had been holding back a breakdown until it finally let go. I crashed deeply when I arrived in the new city. I slept for 14 hours in the small room my grandfather's friend let me crash in. No noise, no guilt trips, and no walking on eggshells. Just silence. And for the first time in years, I wasn't worried about what might happen if I answered no. Then came the calls. Unblocked numbers. Emails. Even a letter. "Your brother made a mistake," someone said. "He needs help. Because guess who robbed a restaurant?" So I am finally out. New city. New room. My grandfather's buddy knew a person who needed help at a mechanic shop, so he got me a new job. Not glamorous, but preferable to cooking eggs for 12 hours in that hellhole cafe back home. I was getting some sleep again. No guilt trip with dinner. There was no stolen money. There have been no family meetings to discuss why my brother deserves more second chances than a lottery ticket. 3 weeks pass by. I'm grinding and saving. My grandfather promised he'd be the wall I never had. Then the text arrived. A blocked number. No name. Simply say, "Call us. It's an emergency." I ignored it. 10 minutes later, another. Then another. Then my granddad called me, and this time he sounded strange, quiet. "Your brother's in trouble," he remarked. I inquired, "What kind of trouble?" "He burglarized a restaurant." I assumed he meant robbed like he dined and dashed, or damaged a soda machine. But no. This dude actually robbed a restaurant. Mask, fake gun, and cash drawer. Real idiocy. I sat there staring at my phone wondering, how the hell does a guy go from bad singing videos to armed robbery? What's next? Grand Theft Auto. Apparently my brother got involved with several low-level wannabe gang members. He owes money. No one knows for what. My guess, marijuana, gear, or studio time, which he pretended was an investment. Regardless, the genius decides to demolish the restaurant where I used to work. The one that funded half of his garbage music career. Let that sink in. He looted the establishment where I had busted my ass. Where I scrubbed dishes until my hands broke, was yelled at by inebriated clients, and stacked my way to a dream he helped kill. This is the section that really gets my thoughts going. My parents begin blowing up my phone. Not to say, "We're sorry we took your money." Not to say, "You were right. We failed him." They want me to help him. As if that were even a possibility. First, it was my mother. She wrote something like, "He didn't mean to. He was just scared. Please. He's your brother." I did not respond. Then she called. I let it go to voicemail. Then my father went straight to the customary tone. "You're his brother. Family supports family. We need to hire a lawyer, and you're the only one with a job." That was the end of it for me. Not, "You're the only one who hasn't committed a felony." Not, "You're the only one who's responsible." Just, "You're the only one with a job." It wasn't even about guilt anymore. It was about usefulness. I went back to being an ATM, the backup plan, a scapegoat. They didn't mind that I departed, they didn't care how, they simply understood I was still useful. And get this, they tried the "we'll pay you back" lie again, like I'd believe it for a second. These guys could not repay a library fine. My granddad called again. This time, he was enraged. Not at me, but towards them. "They told the public defender you were coming up to help," he informed me. I requested his assistance. "Help with what?" He responded, "Money, bail, testimony, I don't know, but they're using your name." I hung up and sat with it for a while. Allow it to marinate. They weren't simply asking for assistance. They were preparing me to be part of the cleanup crew again. Like clockwork. As if nothing had changed. Then I recalled something. I never informed them where I relocated, but I overlooked one minor detail. My brother had access to my emails when we lived together. He probably dug through it one night when I left my laptop open, saw the ticket confirmation I forwarded to my grandfather, and knew where I went based on the city and date. That was my error, but I was not going to let it develop. I called the public defender's office and inquired whether my name was listed as a financial contact. They asked who I was. I supplied my entire name, and the person on the other call remarked, "Oh, you're the older brother. We were told you'd be providing witness support and some funds for defense." I almost laughed aloud, as if this were a court TV show, and I was flying in to defend my brother's honor. I said, "Yeah, that's a lie. I'm not involved and I won't be." The woman sounded shocked, then furious, as if she'd been fed rubbish. She thanked me and stated that she would remove my name from their records. But that wasn't the end of it. Of course not. That night, I received an email. My mom. Long, theatrical, and full of bullshit like, "He's your brother no matter what he did. We're all hurting. Please don't abandon your family. This is the time we need you the most." I didn't even finish reading. Simply press erase. The next morning my father texted, "If you won't help, at least don't talk to the police. Please forgive me." I hadn't planned to, but now I wondered why they were so concerned. It turns out there were several security cameras, and the moron did not wear gloves. Fingerprints, face, shoes, everything. It was the lowest IQ robbery in town history. But guess what? My mother told everyone that he did it because he was influenced by terrible individuals, and he came from a lovely home. She even attempted to utilize my name throughout her sympathy tour. He said, "Even his successful brother is devastated." I am not devastated. I am free. Do you know what I did after reading that? I booked a bus ticket to see my grandfather. I sat with him for an hour and told him everything, and he simply nodded calmly as always. Then he replied, "You want to cut them off completely?" I responded, "Yeah." He added, "Then do it. Stop asking for permission." After the restaurant incident erupted and I urged the public defense to remove my name from everything, I hoped they'd get the hint. I was not involved. I was not going to be involved. I had had enough of playing the loyal son to those who would throw me under the bus for a lunch. But that is not how people like my parents behave. In their universe, no one truly means no. You haven't been guilted enough yet. So when I indicated I wasn't going to help, they didn't hear "end of conversation." They heard "challenge accepted." First they both sent SMS all day, every day. My mom's messages were filled with sobbing emojis and Bible quotes. Things like this. "A family divided cannot stand. Your brother is hurting. We are all hurting. This is your chance to prove you're better than what you've become." Better than I have become? Lady, I work 50 hours each week, pay my rent on time, and have not committed armed robbery. What else do you want? My father's texts were the reverse. He'd alternate between threatening me and seeming like he was negotiating a business deal. One moment it's, "You want to go to war with your own blood?" And the next, "If you help us now, I'll make sure you get your money back." Dude is still acting as if I am waiting for a reimbursement from the bank of backstabbers. Then my phone rings at work. I didn't give them my employment information, so they started calling the front desk. I suppose they used my name to look up the company online and then started cold calling. It started with, "Can you pass a message to him," and progressed to, "We're his family, he's in danger." It was as if they were attempting to deceive the receptionist into panicking and transferring them. My supervisor calls me in and asks what's going on. I describe the family drama in the least dramatic way imaginable. I just told him my parents are nuts and are attempting to drag me into my brother's legal problem. He agrees, says he has seen worse, and instructs the front desk to block the number. Thank God for individuals who have worked long enough to recognize craziness when they see it. I blocked all the numbers I knew they used. I changed my email address and made all of my social media profiles private, essentially creating a digital moat around my existence. But, like cockroaches, they discovered new cracks to crawl through. One day I came out of work to find a car parked across the street. Beige Honda with a scratched bumper. I didn't think much of it until I noticed someone walk out and begin waving. It was my mother. She drove for hours to find me. There is no warning or advance notice. It just appeared as if this was a pleasant surprise reunion rather than a psychological ambush. I turned and headed back inside, as if I had forgotten something. I told my employer, "Hey, I think I'm about to have a stalker moment outside." He looked out the window, saw her pacing, and asked, "Want me to call the cops?" I didn't say yes, but neither did I say no. Eventually she departed, probably drove all the way back feeling proud of herself, like if she had done her best. As if turning up at work was a kind gesture rather than something completely improper. The following day, she put a letter under my flat door. There was no envelope, only folded paper with one page, handwritten, and the scent of her perfume lingered. I ripped it in half and threw it away without opening it. That night, I called my landlord to inquire whether someone had been spying around the building. He examined the camera and confirmed her arrival. I waited outside for 15 minutes, and then left. At least she didn't try to break in or knock on doors. Small wins. I texted my grandfather and explained everything. He responded with 5 words. Cut the line, change the numbers. He was correct. So I went to my phone provider, changed carriers, got a new number, locked my plan with a PIN code, set up a new email, and updated everything. That was the final break, and for a long time it was quiet. No texts, no voicemails, and no letters. Just silence. It felt strange at first. I'd been living in upheaval for so long that tranquility didn't seem genuine. I felt like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, despite the fact that both shoes had already stomped on me years before. Then came the twist I should have anticipated. They began calling my friends. I received texts from old high school friends, former co-workers, and even a guy I hadn't spoken to since sophomore year of college. "Hey man, your mom just reached out to me on Facebook. Said she's looking for you. Is everything okay?" Everything is okay, except that my parents are on a countrywide hunt to guilt me back into being their unpaid lawyer and emotional punching bag. One guy stated she messaged him, "You're his friend. Please help him understand how much we love him." She didn't mention the part where they took millions from me and tried to emotionally blackmail me into sparing their favorite child from jail. I sent the identical message to every friend. Please block them. They are no longer a part of my life. The majority of them did. A couple did not comprehend and attempted to mediate the situation. I also cut them off. My life has transitioned from non-stop cacophony to clear air. It felt like I could finally breathe again. Do you know what I realized? They didn't try to make things right. They simply wanted the same tool they had always had. Me. The repairer. The quiet one. The fallback plan. That was not going to change. So I decided to modify something else. I entered a lawyer's office. Not because I intended to sue them, I knew I wouldn't get that money back, but I wanted to write something, a legal letter. Something like, "This guy has no responsibility for his brother's case, finances or support." It took 30 minutes, it cost me $100. Best money I've ever spent. The lawyer forwarded a copy to the public defender and another to their home address. Certified mail. They could not pretend they did not understand. That night, I slept like a baby. No texts. There are no threats. There are no letters under my door. And if they come back, I'm prepared. So, after I filed the court notice claiming I had nothing to do with my brother's case or their circus of a family situation, I assumed I was done for good. I hoped they'd finally get the hint. Nah. These people never stop. They simply get louder. I received a voicemail from a number I did not know. Female voice, calm but official. She claims to be with the local district attorney's office and would like to meet with me about a current case involving a former acquaintance. I already knew it was my brother. I called her back. She was nice, professional, and straightforward. I said I wasn't in trouble. They only sought confirmation because my name kept appearing in statements. Let me reiterate that my name kept coming up. I hadn't been associated with these folks, but I was still drawn into it. I inquired as to what types of statements. She went on. "Your brother has implied you were aware of the circumstances leading up to the incident and may have assisted financially." I laughed. I couldn't help it. I actually laughed on the phone. She did not laugh back. That's when I realized this wasn't just a small-town slap on the wrist situation. My brother did not simply stroll in and terrify the cashier, he attempted to get into the back office for the safe using an airsoft gun that had been painted black. The DA was not playing. They charged him with attempted armed robbery and possessing a weapon with the intent to intimidate. The real kicker was trying to bring me into it as if we were a team. I assured Mom I had all of the receipts, bank statements, job records and emails proving I hadn't sent a single money to anyone since leaving home. She requested me to forward them. I did. She thanked me and promised to let me know if they needed a sworn statement. I hung up, stared at the wall for a long, and concluded that they had attempted to blame me for some of this. I was upset, but not surprised. I received a subpoena in the mail. Thank God, I'm not a suspect, but rather a witness. They asked me to testify about the family circumstances, my brother's actions, and my financial isolation from them. In plain English, they wanted me to publicly state under oath, "These people are nuts, and I'm not one of them." Fine with me. The court date comes around. I show up with a dress shirt and jeans because I do not wear suits. The courthouse smells like old paper and worries me. My brother is already there, sitting with his public defender like a bored middle schooler in detention. Hair is longer, and the face is puffier, most likely due to eating cheap ramen and being locked up in county jail. He took one look at me. No grin, no nod, only dead eyes. My parents are sitting behind him, suited for a funeral. My mother is dressed in all black, rubbing her eyes every 5 seconds as if she were auditioning for a soap opera I'd never seen. My father is wearing his old church blazer, arms crossed, jaw clenched. I sat across the aisle alone. We didn't bring anyone. I didn't need anybody. DA goes first. They lay everything out. Security footage, statements, the airsoft gun, and eyewitness accounts. Then they start discussing motivation. And that's where things become wild. Because it appears that my brother's new defense strategy was one of desperation. His family has abandoned him. His brother stole their shared savings and vanished, leaving him poor and cornered. Shared savings. Let that sink in. He told the court we had a shared savings account and I escaped with the money, that I betrayed him. That's why he had no choice but to rob a location. As if we were a financial Bonnie and Clyde. And I fled town with the loot. The district attorney requested that I take the stand. I approached, sat down, and swore in. First, do you and your brother share any financial accounts? Number. Have you ever given him money after he left home? Number. Were you aware of any bills or concerns that may prompt him to rob a restaurant? Number. Even if I had been, I wouldn't have helped. She nodded and asked, why not? I glanced at the magistrate and then my brother responded. Because I worked to save money for school. My family took it to fund his music video. Then when his girlfriend got pregnant, they took the rest. Then they expected me to pay for a lawyer when he committed a felony. I didn't abandon him. I escaped him. The courtroom became dead silent. Even the stenographer glanced up. My mother began whisper crying behind me. I did not glance back. Didn't blink. The DA dealt with me quickly. The defense attorney did not even attempt cross-examination. What might she say? Did you not work 2 jobs and get robbed by your own bloodline? Please explain. I stepped down and returned to the benches. The remainder of the hearing was purely formal. The judge denied bail. Said the child was a flight risk and a threat. The courtroom cleared out slowly. My parents did not try to communicate with me. My mother immediately looked at me as if I had stabbed her in the heart. My father looked away, like if I didn't exist. As I went away, Tristan yelled something. I couldn't quite hear it, but it sounded like, "You think you're better than us?" I didn't respond. Didn't even turn around. Because yes, I do. I expected them to disappear after court. Crawl back into the echo chamber they created for themselves and pretend nothing happened. Perhaps blame the system. Perhaps blame me. Perhaps blame the economy. Anything but the truth. But then, there came a knock at my door. Not a text. Not an email. A knock. I peeked through the peephole and assumed for a moment that it was a joke. There they were. Both of them. My mother wore a worn cardigan and held her purse as if it still contained something. My father is standing stiffly, like a salesperson trying not to look like he's going to beg. I opened the door just enough to speak through it. The chain did not get unlocked. You drove all the way here? I inquired. My mother rushed in before my father could say anything. We didn't know what else to do. Please, can we come in? Number. She blinked. It's as if the concept of me saying no had never occurred to her. It's as if that was not part of the plan. Please, she asked again. We just need to talk. You can talk from right there. My father stepped forward. We lost the house. I simply stared at him. Did not say anything. He waited for a reaction, but I gave him nothing. He continued going. After the court stuff, the insurance company flagged us. They froze the joint account. Then your mom's credit cards got shut off. The car is not ours anymore. They're auctioning it. Sounds rough, I remarked. Do you need directions to the shelter? That one landed. My mother's face crumbled like cheap paper. How can you say that? We're your parents. You're the people who took my college savings to fund a music video and a baby, then tried to tie me to a felony. Let's not confuse genetics with loyalty. My father did not flinch. He never does. We're not here to fight, he explained. We're here because we need help. I raised an eyebrow. And I'm supposed to care because you're doing well now. You've always been the responsible one, my mother told me. You have a job, an apartment, a future. Yeah, I earned those things. You think I woke up one day and someone handed me a lease? I bled for this. Just a little money. My father responded with a cold tone. Just enough for a motel, a deposit. We'll figure it out from there. I took a step back, as if his speech had a fragrance that I didn't want on me. You mean the way you figured it out when you drained my savings account without telling me? When you let Tristan frame me and told the cops I was part of it? That kind of figuring out? Silence. Where's Tristan? I inquired, intending to twist the knife. In the county, my father murmured. They moved his court date again. He'll probably do time. I shrugged. Not my problem. My mother's eyes welled up. He's still your brother. Not anymore. That's when she dropped the last bomb. We're not asking for free help. We'll sign something. A loan agreement. A contract. A contract signed by two people who cannot legally co-sign a napkin right now. I stared at them. These were the individuals who used to manage my curfew, punish me for missing duties, and expect respect as if it was due. They were begging in front of my apartment like terrible players in a play that had ended 3 seasons ago. I almost pity them. Almost. I closed the door. Did not slam it. Didn't curse. Just slowly and discreetly close it. They did not knock again. They stood outside for a time. I looked through the peephole. My mother sat on the curb. My father made a few calls, most likely hoping to elicit pity from any family members who still answer the phone. Eventually, they left, but it was not the end. They tried again. This time, with the assistance of an aunt. She slipped a message underneath my door. Said I was being unjust. He said my folks were just trying to rebuild. He claimed Tristan had paid enough. I returned the note back to her, writing 2 words on the bottom. Not interested. You don't recover from what they did. There is no undo button for betrayal. There is no apology that will unstab you. When they chose my brother repeatedly, they made it obvious who I was to them. The emergency wallet, the responsible son, the one they could empty and discard whenever things got tough. They chose him. Now they can keep him. I blocked all of the numbers I hadn't already. I changed my locks. I told the building manager not to let anyone leave without a call. And I went to work as if nothing had happened, which it hadn't. Not really. People like that do not change. They simply ran out of people to leech off of. And they simply ran out of me. I walked away a year ago. A full year of no family vacations, no guilt texts, just checking phone calls, silence, peace, the sort you don't realize you need until you've spent the most of your life without it. I kept to myself. I worked, saved. I went back to school part-time. I found a used Camry on Craigslist. I witnessed my credit score transform from a horrible joke to a respectable adult. Life was simple, not easy. But I didn't want it easy. I needed to clean. And I had that till I received a letter in the mail. There's no return address. Just my name scrawled in my mother's handwriting. As if it meant anything anymore. Inside, there's a printed letter with a bunch of copy-pasted legal words that are obviously false. They said they were launching a family grievance against me for financial abandonment. Yeah, that is not a genuine thing. It was 2 paragraphs of drivel that concluded with, "You owe it to your family to step up. This is your final chance before we take any further action." What happens next? How are they going to sue me for emotional coldness? I threw it, didn't bother to react. I just put it in a folder in case I ever needed proof of a restraining order. Then they pulled their last card. They showed up at my employment. This time, it was just my father. My mom must have realized I was done faking. He strolled into the auto shop like a man clinging to pride he couldn't afford. Dress shoes are scuffed. He wore a tucked-in shirt and pants, as if he couldn't decide whether to apologize or go to court. He did not ask for me at the desk. He only stood by the bay entrance, waiting for fate to provide him atonement. One of the guys yelled, "Hey man, your dad's here." I cleaned my hands and strolled over, without saying anything. Just gazed. He started with, "You look good." I said nothing. I just wanted to talk. Still nothing. "You have made your point. You've made it quite plain, but we're still family." I eventually said something. "You lost that word a long time ago." He began to say something else, most likely rehearsed in the car. I cut him off. "You came to my job again, after I changed my phone number, after I had blocked you. After you brought my name to court. It wasn't like that. It was just like that. You just didn't expect the consequences." He took a deep breath. "I came because we had lost everything. The home is gone, the car, credit shot. Tristan is inside and we don't know when he'll come out. Your mom is not doing well." "Not my problem," I said. Simple. Honest. "You don't even care how we're doing?" I laughed once. Not too loud, just take one sharp breath. "You didn't care about how I was doing when you depleted my savings, or when you allow him to lie about me to a judge." He became quiet. He employed the same dumb silence when he couldn't debate but refused to admit he was wrong. "You can tell yourself you came to talk," I said. "But you came here to beg. You don't care about healing, you just ran out of people to leech off." That ultimately broke him. His posture changed, as if he discarded the charade and revealed himself as he truly was. Exhausted, broke, and besieged. "So that's it?" he inquired. "You're just going to walk away from your own blood?" "I walked away from parasites." His jaw twitched. "You always thought you were better than us." I just stopped pretending I wasn't. He didn't say another thing. I turned around and went away. No yelling or threats, just silence. Perhaps it was the first honest thing he had done in years. My coworkers did not say much. They knew enough by now. I cleaned up, finished my shift and headed home. There's no text. No knock. Nothing. That was the last time I saw him. A distant cousin informed me that my mother attempted to set up a GoFundMe campaign. They said they were victims of family betrayal. Said their lone son had abandoned them during a difficult time. Only son, not any of their sons, only. That was cute. The fundraiser collected $83. I nearly felt horrible. Almost. But here's the thing. They made their choice repeatedly. Every time I wanted help, I received silence. Every time I inquired why he got away with it, they told me to stay quiet. Every single dollar they stole, every lie they tell, they built that existence. I had just exited the building when it collapsed. Now I reside in a peaceful one-bedroom with no yelling through the walls. I pay for everything myself. I joined ECPI. I didn't need their help. I didn't need their apology. I needed nothing. I am not bitter. Bitterness consumes energy. And they had already taken too much. I'm just finished. People frequently say, "But they're your family." Yeah? So what? People who treat you as if you are a backup plan do not deserve your loyalty. My parents attempted to wreck my future in order to mend the catastrophe they had allowed my brother to create. They can now reside there. I am not going back. Not for court. Not for Christmas. Not even during a funeral. They had a son and threw him away. Years later I graduated with honors. I never liked ceremonies, but that day, I stood on stage with a calm smile as they pronounced my name, their surname, not their pride. Today I am a university instructor. Not because they backed me, but because they had lost me. What about them? They fell apart. Debt collectors. Unpaid invoices. Loans in one another's names. They arrived at the emergency room one by one, fevers, stress, collapsing under pressure. The consequences of finally catching up, however, were the true source of the heat.